The restaurant was buzzing with clinking glasses, low jazz music, and the hum of laughter from nearby tables. I sat there in my emerald dress, heart pounding as my husband, Ethan Carter, reached across the table, his hand brushing mine. His smile was easy, confident, the kind of smile that made the world pause. "Happy anniversary, Claire," he said softly, lifting his champagne glass. I smiled back, warmth filling me, but before I could speak, he added something that froze. "Me? Did you like the jewelry I sent?" My breath hitched. For a moment, I thought I had misheard him. I blinked, scanning the table as if the gift would magically appear between the plates and candles. "Jewelry?" My voice cracked slightly. "What jewelry?" The smile vanished from his face, instantly replaced by something colder, sharper. Ethan turned his head slowly, his gaze locking on my family at the next table. My parents, my sister, and her smug husband, who had insisted on surprising us by crashing our anniversary dinner. My mom's fork clattered against her plate. My dad stiffened, his eyes darting away, but it was my sister Nicole who leaned back in her chair with that infuriating smirk she always wore when she thought she'd outplayed me. Ethan's tone dropped, dangerous and controlled. "Where is it?" Silence wrapped around the table like a noose. I swallowed hard, heat rising to my cheeks as my pulse thundered in my ears. My family knew something I didn't. That much was clear. Nicole crossed her legs slowly, twirling the yob stem of her wine glass. "Maybe it got lost in the mail," she said with mock sympathy, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Things happen, right?" Ethan didn't even look at her. His eyes were still on my parents. My father cleared his throat, forcing a laugh that sounded brittle. "Ethan, son, you must be mistaken. Surely it was delivered somewhere else." "No." Ethan's voice cut through the air like a blade. "I had it sent here, directly. A diamond necklace worth more than the car you drove tonight." He leaned forward, his jaw tight, his hand clenching the edge of the table. "And I want to know why my wife is sitting here empty-handed." Felt sick, my stomach twisting into knots. My family had done questionable things before, greedy, selfish choices that always left me humiliated. But this? This was different. Nicole tilted her chin. "Maybe you shouldn't waste that kind of money on someone who doesn't even appreciate it." She cast me a cruel glance. "Claire's never been good at handling nice things." My chest tightened. That wasn't just a jab, it was an admission. She knew where the necklace went. "Nicole," I said, my voice trembling but sharp. "Did you take it?" Her smirk widened, but she didn't answer. Instead, she raised her glass, as if to toast her own audacity. Ethan's hand slammed against the table so hard the glasses rattled. The sound made half the restaurant turn to look. He didn't care. He leaned closer, his voice low and terrifyingly calm. "If you think you can steal from me and from my wife, you don't know who you're dealing with." For the first time, Nicole's smirk faltered. Her husband shifted uncomfortably in his chair, his hand brushing her arm in a silent plea for her to back down, but my parents stayed silent. Not a word of defense, not a whisper of shame. Just silence. And that silence broke something in me. I realized in that moment that I wasn't just a daughter or a sister. They had always seen me as their scapegoat, the one they could use, diminish, or betray without consequence. But tonight was different. Ethan wasn't going to let it slide. And for once, I didn't want to stay quiet either. I straightened my back, my voice cutting through the tension. "You didn't just steal from him, Nicole. You stole from me, on my anniversary. You tried to humiliate me in front of my husband, like you always do." "But tonight? You've gone too far." Nicole's face flushed red, but she still forced a laugh. "You're overreacting. He's being dramatic. It's just jewelry." Ethan's eyes flashed with fury. "It's not about the jewelry. It's about respect. And you clearly have none." The table was on fire now, eyes locked, breaths sharp, hearts pounding. My mom finally spoke, her voice quivering. "Ethan, please, let's not make a scene." But Ethan cut her off. "The scene's already here, and I promise you it won't end tonight." I sat there, heart hammering, torn between fear and relief. Fear of what this confrontation would unleash, and relief that, for the first time in my life, I wasn't facing my family's cruelty alone. This wasn't going to end with awkward apologies or whispered excuses. Not this time. And deep down, a part of me welcomed it. The restaurant air felt heavier, every eye on us as if the entire room was holding its breath. Nicole's smirk had faded, but her pride was too stubborn to back down. She leaned forward, her voice dripping venom. "Oh, come on, Claire. Don't act like you've never benefited from Ethan's money. Maybe I was just evening things out." Her words sliced through me, and the room tilted. My pulse raced in my ears. For years, she had stolen moments, attention, even affection. But this was a direct assault on my marriage, my dignity, my future. Ethan's chair screeched against the floor as he stood. The sudden movement jolted the table, sending silverware clattering. His towering frame loomed over Nicole and her husband. His tone was steady, but every syllable burned. "You think stealing from me is a game? You think humiliating Claire is some kind of sport?" He leaned closer, his eyes like steel. "You have no idea what line you just crossed." Nicole tried to laugh it off, but her hand trembled around the wine glass. Her husband, Daniel, shifted uncomfortably, his voice low. "Nicole, maybe we should just return it." Her head snapped toward him. "Return what?" she hissed, her eyes flashing. "Don't you dare make me look guilty." "Because you are guilty," I shot back, my voice louder than I intended. People were staring, whispering, but I didn't care. My body trembled with anger, but I refused to shrink back this time. "Admit it, Nicole. You took the necklace. You wanted to ruin my night, and you thought no one would call you out. Well, I am calling you out." Nicole's face flushed deep crimson, her facade cracking. For once, she didn't have a quick, cruel comeback. My mother's voice quivered as she whispered, "Claire, lower your voice. This isn't the place." I turned to her, years of buried resentment spilling out. "Isn't the place? When has there ever been a place? Every time she's sabotaged me, you've said nothing. Every time she's humiliated me, you stayed silent. Tonight, she stole from my husband, and you're still defending her with your silence." My voice broke, my throat raw with fury. "So tell me, Mom, when do I get to matter?" Her face paled, lips pressed tight, but she didn't answer. Ethan's hand brushed my shoulder gently, steadying me. His voice was calm, but each word carried lethal precision. "Claire, you matter. To me. More than anything." He turned back, to Nicole, his expression hardening. "And anyone who tries to hurt you hurts me. That necklace wasn't just jewelry. It was a promise. And you tried to rob her of that." Nicole's eyes darted around the table, suddenly realizing she was cornered. The whispers from surrounding tables grew louder. She hated exposure more than anything, and Ethan was peeling back every layer of her arrogance in front of an audience. Finally, her voice cracked. "Fine, maybe I saw the box. Maybe I thought you wouldn't notice if—" "You thought wrong," Ethan snapped, his voice sharp enough to silence the entire restaurant. Daniel reached into his jacket, his face drained of color, and pulled out a velvet case. He set it on the table like it was burning his hand. "Here, take it. We don't want trouble." My stomach lurched. There it was, the diamond necklace Ethan had chosen for me. My fingers hovered above the box, trembling, but I didn't open it. Not yet, because this wasn't about the necklace anymore. It was about the years of being belittled, overlooked, erased. It was about my family always choosing Nicole's pride over my dignity. I looked at Nicole, her face pale and twisted in rage. For once, she wasn't the one in control. You tried to take this from me, I said softly, my hand resting on the box. But you can't take what really matters. You can't take my marriage. You can't take the respect I've earned. And after tonight, you won't take another ounce of my silence. Nicole opened her mouth, but Ethan cut in, his words final and unyielding. If you ever try anything like this again, I won't just take the necklace back. I'll take everything you think you have, because it's built on lies, manipulation, and theft. And I promise you, the world will know it. The weight of his voice was undeniable. Nicole's bravado shattered completely. She looked down, her knuckles white around her glass. For the first time in my life, she was speechless. The tension was suffocating, but inside me, something shifted. I felt taller, stronger. Years of swallowed pain and quiet endurance broke apart like chains falling from my shoulders. I finally had a voice, and tonight, it echoed. The waiter, unsure of what to do, approached hesitantly, offering dessert menus like a lifeline. The absurdity of it made me laugh, a sharp, bitter laugh that surprised even me. Ethan pulled me close, his voice low but firm. "We're leaving." I nodded, rising to my feet, my legs steady despite the storm inside me. As we walked past my family, I felt their eyes on me, heavy with guilt, shame, and resentment. But I didn't shrink this time. I didn't bow my head. I walked out with my husband's hand in mine and my dignity intact. But as the restaurant doors closed behind us, one truth settled in my chest like fire. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The cool night air hit my face as we stepped out of the restaurant, but it didn't calm the storm inside me. Ethan's grip on my hand was firm, grounding me, but my thoughts were spinning like a hurricane. My family's betrayal wasn't just about a necklace. It was years of patterns exploding all at once, and now the cracks couldn't be ignored. "Claire," Ethan said softly, pulling me close to him on the sidewalk. His eyes searched mine. "You know this isn't the end, right?" I swallowed, my throat tight. "I know. They won't stop. Nicole never stops. And my parents, they'll defend her until their last breath." His jaw tightened. "Not anymore. Not after tonight." I wanted to believe him, but the ache in my chest reminded me of every time I had walked away from their cruelty, trying to keep the peace. Except peace had never been real. It was submission, and I was done submitting. Slid into Ethan's car, silence stretching between us as he started the engine. City lights blurred past the window as we drove home, but all I could see was Nicole's smirk, the way it faltered when Ethan demanded answers. For the first time, she had been exposed. When we pulled into the driveway, I sat still, staring at the box in my lap. The necklace. The gift meant for me. My hands shook as I opened it. The diamonds sparkled under the streetlight, each stone catching fire, each one a reminder of what was almost stolen from me. Tears blurred my vision, but they weren't from weakness. They were from the surge of something I hadn't felt in years, strength. Ethan's voice was steady, cutting through my thoughts. "Claire, you've spent your whole life letting them walk over you. Tonight, you fought back, and I need you to understand something." He turned to me, his gaze fierce, protective. "I'll never let them do that to you again, but you have to decide if you'll let them stay in your life." His words pierced me, because I knew he was right. My family's love had always been conditional, twisted. They only reached out when they needed something, from money to validation. And I had given over and over, hoping one day it would be enough, but it never was. I closed the box, my decision hardening like steel. "No more." Ethan nodded, his jaw softening. "Then we handle this together. But Claire, When the truth comes out, they'll try to twist it. They'll play the victims. Are you ready for that? A hollow laugh escaped my lips. They've painted me as the villain my whole life. What's one more time? The difference is, I'm not alone anymore. He reached across the console, brushing my hair back gently. You're not, and I'm going to make sure everyone sees the truth. That night, sleep was impossible. Every sound of the clock ticking, every flicker of light from passing cars outside, dragged me deeper into the weight of what had happened. I replayed the scene in the restaurant over and over. The gasps, the silence, Nicole's arrogance, my parents' refusal to defend me. And the more I replayed it, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about a necklace. This was about everything. They had taken from me confidence, joy, dignity. Piece by piece, year after year. By morning, I felt hollow but resolute. When I came downstairs, Ethan was already at the kitchen table, laptop open. He glanced up, his expression serious. I made some calls last night. My stomach tightened. Calls? His tone was calm, but there was a storm behind his eyes. To my lawyer. To a few people who need to know what your sister and parents did. They crossed into theft, Claire. That's not a family squabble. That's a crime. My breath caught. I had wanted justice, but the word crime hit me like a hammer. Ethan, if you go that far, they'll hate me forever. They already do, he said bluntly. Then his voice softened. But I don't care about their feelings. I care about you. And you deserve more than their lies. I sank into the chair across from him, my mind swirling. Fear tugged at me, but beneath it, something else pulsed. Freedom. For once, the choice wasn't about keeping them happy, it was about protecting myself. I looked at Ethan, my voice steady. Do it. His eyes softened as he reached across the table, squeezing my hand. Then it settled. We're not just going to stop them from hurting you again. We're going to make sure they never get the chance. I exhaled shakily, the weight of years lifting from my chest. For the first time, I wasn't the silent one at the table. For the first time, I had drawn a line. But I also knew this was only the beginning. Because when you expose liars, they don't crawl away quietly. They fight back. And my family? They weren't going to let their mask slip without a war. The morning after Ethan made those calls, my phone exploded with messages. Dozens of missed calls from my mom, angry voicemails from my dad, and frantic texts from Nicole, all saying the same thing. How could you do this to us? I stared at the screen, almost laughing at the irony. How could I do this to them? They stole from me, humiliated me, and now they were the victims. Ethan, already dressed in his crisp suit, glanced at me. They'll try to flip the story. Don't answer. Don't give them the chance to twist your words. He was right. So I didn't. By afternoon, the consequences started to land. Nicole's husband called Ethan, voice shaky, begging to settle things quietly. Ethan put the call on speaker, his tone firm but calm. Daniel, your wife stole a diamond necklace meant for Claire. Your family helped cover it. That isn't quiet. That's theft, and people are going to know. Daniel stammered, then hung up. By evening, it wasn't whispers anymore. It was exposure. Ethan's lawyer had contacted the right people, and word spread quickly. Nicole's smug image cracked under the weight of truth. Her friends, the ones who adored her glamorous facade, suddenly vanished. My parents, desperate to protect her, called me again, their voices trembling with rage. You're tearing this family apart, my mom screamed into the voicemail. No, I whispered, listening to the message. You tore it apart the moment you chose her lies over my dignity. That night, Ethan and I attended a charity gala he had committed to weeks earlier. I wanted to hide, but he insisted we go. This is your night, Claire. not theirs. You walk in with your head high. So I did. The ballroom glowed with chandeliers, cameras flashing as we entered. I wore the necklace, the one Nicole tried to take as it sparkled against my collarbone. For once, it wasn't just jewelry. It was proof I wasn't invisible anymore. As the night carried on, whispers followed me. Not cruel this time, but admiring. People weren't talking about my family's lies. They were talking about my strength, about the woman who had faced betrayal and still stood tall. Then, just as dessert was being served, they showed up. My parents, Nicole and Daniel. They hadn't been invited, but entitlement had always been their language. Nicole's eyes darted to the necklace, and her face twisted. "That's mine!" she spat, loud enough for heads to turn. The room fell silent. Cameras lifted, Ethan's arm slipped protectively around my waist. "Say that again," he challenged, his voice carrying like thunder. Nicole faltered, but her pride pushed forward. "She doesn't deserve it. I should have had it. I always should have—" "Enough." My voice cut through hers, clear and strong. My hands didn't shake. My eyes didn't waver. "You stole from me, Nicole. You humiliated me. And for years, you've tried to convince me I'm less than you. But look around." I gestured to the crowd, to the people watching her unravel. "All your lies couldn't buy you respect. All your cruelty couldn't break me. Tonight, you've exposed yourself." Her face burned red. My parents tried to intervene, but it was too late. The cameras had caught everything. Ethan's voice sealed it, cold and final. "Walk away now, because after tonight the world will know who you really are." Nicole's lip trembled. For once, she had no comeback. She turned on her heel, dragging Daniel and my parents with her, their heads bowed in humiliation. The room erupted in murmurs, but I stood tall, my hand gripping Ethan's. For the first time, I wasn't the silent one hiding in the corner. I wasn't the family's scapegoat. I was free. As the orchestra played and the night resumed, Ethan leaned down, whispering in my ear, "Happy anniversary, Claire. This is just the beginning." I smiled through tears, the necklace warm against my skin. My family had tried to strip me of everything, but instead, they gave me something greater. My voice, my dignity, and the strength to never bow again, and this time, I would never let it go.